President Biden's decision to exit the 2024 race came with a grandiose farewell speech. He boasted of the so-called strongest economy and affordable healthcare for all. Funny how reality, with its skyrocketing debt and record inflation, paints a rather different, less rosy picture of his so-called achievements.
Welcome to TFI Global, the antidote to mass delusion.
In his announcement to step back from the 2024 presidential race, President Joe Biden took a moment to reflect on his four-year term. He claimed that his administration had established the strongest economy in the world and expanded affordable healthcare to a record number of Americans. He also highlighted efforts to provide care to veterans exposed to toxic substances. But is it really so, Joe? The reality paints a different picture. The US economic downturn shows no signs of slowing, with 36% of Americans recently rating the national economy as poor, according to Pew Research. The national debt, now nearly $34.4 trillion, is increasing by $1 trillion approximately every 100 days. Biden's administration consistently claimed that the US economy was the best ever and that job creation was booming. However, it's worth noting that many of these jobs were lost due to the COVID-19 lockdowns that his administration supported. The administration's attempts to address inflation and rising living costs have largely involved blaming private companies for price increases and focusing on shrinkflation, where products are reduced in size to mask price hikes. They even enlisted Sesame Street characters to promote this idea, which raises questions about public funding for PBS. The issue isn't just limited to grocery stores raising prices out of spite. As Heritage Foundation economist E.J. Anthony noted, the prices paid by both businesses and consumers have risen by 18% on average since Biden took office in January 2021. This inflation is largely due to the massive spending on COVID-19 aid, which continued even after the immediate crisis had passed. Much of that emergency aid was mismanaged, with billions wasted or stolen. An analysis by the Associated Press found that fraudsters potentially stole over $280 billion in COVID-19 relief funding, and another $123 billion was wasted or misspent. This represents about 10% of the $4.2 trillion the government has disbursed for COVID relief. The border crisis is another significant failure of the Biden administration. The administration has systematically dismantled border security measures such as the Remain in Mexico policy and the public health measure known as Title 42. This has led to a surge in illegal immigration. Biden's policies have also included counting non-citizens in census reapportionment, benefiting Democrat-led sanctuary states. The impact has been staggering. There have been about 7.2 million illegal border crossings since Biden took office, more than the population of 36 states. Each year of his presidency has set a new record for illegal border crossings, and 2024 is on track to continue this trend. This has strained city budgets as they shift resources to accommodate the newcomers. Drug overdoses, particularly from synthetic opioids like fentanyl and stimulants such as cocaine and methamphetamine, continue to be a leading cause of injury death in the US adults. The Biden administration's focus on advancing equity has often been at odds with ensuring equal treatment under the law. Instead, policies have aimed to racialize society and create divisions based on oppression narratives. Biden's executive order on further advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities through the federal government exemplifies this approach. Critics like writer and filmmaker Christopher Rufo have argued that this policy turns diversity, equity, and inclusion into an ideological state religion. On the foreign policy front, Biden's track record is equally troubling. The Ukraine crisis continues, fueled by US military supplies despite Russia's warnings. The Gaza conflict persists despite Biden's calls for a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. Moreover, Biden has failed to revive the 2015 Iran nuclear deal, with talks in Vienna coming to a standstill. And who can forget the hauntingly shameful pictures of US abandoning Afghanistan? In summary, while Biden administration touts its achievements, the underlying issues of economic instability, mismanaged funds, border crisis, and ineffective foreign policies tell a completely different story.